Hello, hello, and welcome everybody. Hi,
Hello, hello, good
hi
afternoon.
Emily. Nice to
Hi,
see you.
Monique.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm doing quite well, thank you.
Perfect.
We welcome you all here to this webinar of Focus 8 to 10. Be
hmm
prepared. We're happy to see you here. It's nice doing this new format for MyS, and we're delighted to be here. So, we wanted to start with a little introduction. We'll introduce ourselves, and as you see in the comments, we invite you to write your name, where you're from, and your favorite vegetable. Emily, would you like to start?
It's a very interesting question, the last
Thank
one.
you.
My name is Emily. I come from a city called Leicester in England, famous for the football team,
Lovely.
not much else.
Okay.
My favorite vegetable, I think I would say my favorite vegetable is the carrot. Because it's very versatile. You can use it in lots of different dishes. For example, when you make ragu or when you make many different types of sauces, using a carrot is a good base for any dish. Very versatile, I think.
I
And you?
absolutely agree. Yes. Okay. So I'm Monique. I'm from Los Angeles, California. And though I do love the carrot,
hmm
I always love a lovely carrot. In fact, I had carrots for lunch.
hmm
My favorite vegetable, though, really is fennel. Yeah.
Fennel,
Yeah.
nice.
Very healthy, really delicious. I like it raw. I like it cooked. I love it in the oven. It's like you
Mm,
were saying, the carrot is versatile, as is fennel.
yes.
Um, I did not have fennel for lunch today, though,
Oh, what
but
did you have for lunch today?
I made a delightful sort of mélange of grains. What I made was it had carrots, whole grain rice. I have to remember fresh sage. Um, what else did it have? Some cauliflower, really, and I also put some orange lentils in.
Wow, it's very healthy.
Very healthy,
Nice.
very delicious. And what about you? What did you have for lunch?
For lunch, I had some pasta
Uh-huh.
with some vegetables, so with some cabbage and not
Nice.
carrots today, um,
Okay.
cabbage and yeah, some fennel actually today.
Did you
So
really?
yes,
Wow. So I had your favorite vegetable,
yes,
and you had my
we
favorite
swapped.
vegetable. Beautiful. I wonder what
Okay,
Lisa had for lunch today. Who knows?
yeah. If
Hopefully,
anyone
she
wants to
has
tell us
had lunch. If anyone would like to share, they are all welcome to.
favorite
So,
vegetables.
favorite vegetables, yeah. So, our topic for today's focus activity is be prepared. Yes,
Seems a
as
very
we are
appropriate topic at the moment.
very appropriate. Yes, as we are experiencing. It's important to be prepared in life, right? Because we really never know what might happen. So, yeah, be prepared. Emily, are you prepared?
I'm prepared ish. Yes, in English
Yes,
we say
ish.
ish when we want to say more or less.
I'm
Um,
prepared
yeah,
ish.
so I'm prepared to a certain extent. And of course, I don't think we can ever prepare 100% for everything.
Right.
Um,
So as you can see there, I'm prepared-ish. This is very, very, very useful in English, and we use it all the time when it's something is approximately or about, and we can use it for time too. For example, Emily, let's meet up at 3-ish,
yeah, more or less. A little bit before, a little bit
or
after,
I'll call you
around.
at 8-ish, right? I
Yeah.
love that. And I find that students really enjoy it once they start getting the hang of it.
Yeah.
It's very convenient, right?
It is quite colloquial, but we
Yes,
use it a lot. I'm happy-ish.
right.
Yeah.
It's a
It's
nice-ish
sunny-ish.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had said I'm prepared-ish. I would say I'm prepared-ish as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we
Yeah.
do our best to seem prepared or to
Yes.
be as prepared as possible, but yes,
It's quite
prepared-ish.
difficult to be 100% ready for
Yes,
anything, but
exactly.
yes,
But we do our best indeed. So
definitely.
but let's dive into this lovely focus here. Hello, Robbie. How are you doing? And welcome. Robbie
Welcome.
asks, can we use ish for everything? Well, everything is a lot. We're talking philosophically. Everything is really everything. What would you
Yeah.
say, Emily? Can we use ish
I would
for everything?
say with an adjective. So it's hottish, it's coldish, I'm prepared-ish, I'm tired-ish.
Yeah. Like, do
Wouldn't
you like my new shoes? They're nice-ish.
Yeah, so it's generally with an adjective.
So yeah, it can sometimes be an approximate, and it sometimes can also be a nice-ish way of saying no. So if I get a new haircut and I say, "Do you like my haircut?" Someone could say, "Ah, it's
Ish.
interesting-ish. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice-ish. It's uh,
Yeah, sometimes we just use
yeah,
ish alone.
exactly,
You like it?
exactly."
Ish.
So Robbie, yeah, you can certainly try to use ish whenever. And again, like Emily said, it is colloquial. I mean, it's slang-ish, right? So most native English speakers and most English speakers will understand. It's one of those things that you want to try to use. You get the hang of it over time, and then you have never heard ish.
No,
That's genius.
you probably won't find it in a textbook or
Yeah,
in something you read or you write. But it's quite common in spoken language, I think.
So yeah, you could say it's newish. It's newish. Like I kind of heard of it, right? But Robbie, not necessarily. I've never heard ish because, as Emily mentioned, it's not used so much with verbs, more with adjectives.
I think
newish.
maybe Robbie was saying that she's never heard ish.
Oh, I've gotcha. Okay, I've never heard
as
ish,
as a word before.
Okay, Robbie, if you'd like, you can. We invite you to tell us where you're from and your favorite vegetable, if you'd like.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, let's dive into this focus, and maybe Emily, if you could read what this focus is all about.
Perfect. So this focus activity is about a modal review, giving advice, and preparing for an occasion.
Yes. What would you say this image is of?
Oh, I think this is a race. In English, we would say the hurdles. I don't know if it's the same in American English. When you have to jump
the hurdle.
over,
Exactly.
some kind
like
of
an Olympic sport.
Yeah. It's quite difficult. I remember doing it at school.
Really?
Yes.
How interesting. I don't think I ever tried it, and I don't think I would be very good, even though I'm tall. That type of jumping, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't like it so much. It's quite difficult, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Robbie says, I'm from Naples. Nice to meet you. Well, Robbie, it's very nice for us to meet you as well. And welcome to this focus, to you and to everyone else watching. So let's dive in here. We see modal review, giving advice, preparing for an occasion. All right, drum roll, and in we go. I'm late. Emily, do you remember what that quote is from?
It's from a very famous book called Alice in Wonderland, where we have a rabbit, the little white rabbit, who goes down the hole and Alice follows him. And he's saying, I'm late for a very important date.
Right, so the song goes, well, from the film, I'm late for a very important date. No time to say hello, goodbye. I'm late. So
wow, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, my pleasure. I'm late. We hope not to be late, but sometimes we get to maybe a meeting with a friend a little late, so we could send a message. I'll be there at 5-ish. That's when ish is very handy as well. Let's say welcome to Francesca. She's visiting from Rome. Welcome.
Perfect.
Lovely
welcome to our webinar.
Welcome to our webinar here. So Emily, would you like to read the text here of I'm late?
Yes. Before I read, I just want to point out that a mistake that a lot of students make is to say I'm in late. But notice in English, late is the adjective. So we don't need any prepositions or anything else. Sorry, I'm late is enough.
It's true, because sometimes students will arrive to class a little late at MyS and make up and say things in funny ways. So yes, well put, Emily. I am late. Verb to be
Yes.
and then adjective. I am late.
Perfect.
Okay,
Okay.
good point.
So, in your opinion, what are the worst mistakes someone can make when attending a job interview? And have you ever made any mistakes?
Yeah, so let's see here. Let's write down the worst mistakes someone can make when attending a job interview. We invite you all to think about this. The worst mistakes you can make when attending a job interview. ... I'm going to show this up here. Hello, Rosalba from Livorno. Welcome. We're happy to have you at this webinar. And we'd really like for you to interact. Really feel free to write, to answer, to don't worry about making mistakes. This is the right place to do it. We're here to share, to learn, and to teach. So we want to know, what, in your opinion, are the worst mistakes you can make when attending a job interview?
Yeah, I would say definitely being late is a very big mistake. Not a good impression.
Yeah, I generally try to arrive well in advance, even like, I don't know, 20 minutes early, because it's much better than arriving late. No?
Definitely for the first interview, your first impression.
Exactly.
You don't want to risk anything.
Yeah. So let's see. We have Robbie, Francesca, Rosalba, a few other people. Anyone would like to share what they think the worst mistakes you can make when attending a job interview? Emily, can you think of any others?
I think maybe dressing inappropriately. So usually when you go for a job interview, depending on the job, there are certain expectations about what you should wear, what you shouldn't wear. So yeah, maybe dressing too casually or also too smartly if it's not a job that requires you to dress so smartly.
With that, I like to sometimes say it really depends on what the job is, because it might be you're going to a job as a lawyer or as a banker or something. But what if you're going for a job as a dancer, as an actor, maybe as a burlesque dancer, right? I mean, it really depends. Even as a teacher, right? It depends if you're going as a teacher, what type of school it is. Are you working with young students or older students? Like, there's so many variables, right? But certainly dressing appropriately, I would agree. What else? Does anyone have any ideas? Worst mistakes you can make? All right, let's move forward here and take a look at... Emily, have you ever made any of these mistakes we're speaking of? Have you ever arrived late?
When I first came to Italy, I went for a job interview as a teacher. And I dressed very elegantly, very smartly, a bright red dress and high heels. Because generally, I think in the UK, when you go for an interview, it's more expected that you dress smartly.
Right.
And I arrived at the school, and I think everyone was a little bit surprised at why I was dressed so elegantly for a job interview.
And how did the interview go?
It went very well. I got the job.
Oh, well, that's nice.
But on my first day of work, I decided to dress a little bit more casually to match the situation.
Sure. Some things we learn on the job as well, right? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you learn what is expected.
Yeah, I see Marina is here from Rome. Welcome, Marina. Nice to have you with us. All right, so let's look here at some do's and don'ts, right? So here we're talking about advice, suggestions, right? Do's and don'ts. Okay, Emily, would you like to read through this? Do's and don'ts.
Of course. Okay. When preparing for an interview, there are a few important things to remember. You should always go over potential interview questions and practice your answers. You ought to dress nicely. Unless you live in Hawaii, you had better not turn up to an interview in shorts and a t-shirt. It's also a good idea to keep up with recent events in the company you're applying to. By doing this, you will come across as a knowledgeable, intelligent candidate. Remember, first impressions are very important, so follow these simple steps to make sure you stand out from the crowd.
Wonderful job. That was delightful. Russia says not having any questions. Not having any questions.
I
Maybe
understand.
can you describe what does that mean? Emily, can you
Usually-
describe to me?
When you have a job interview, I think at the end of the interview, they always ask, do you have any questions for us? So maybe it's not so good if you say, I don't know, maybe it shows you haven't really thought about the company or the position. So I think that's what she
interesting.
means, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
That it's
Nice.
good to have some questions for them too.
Uh-huh. So let's see here. Are there any new vocabulary? Does anyone, speaking of questions, have any questions about this do's and don'ts? And or do you agree? When preparing for an interview, there are important things to remember. What do you think about this? Do's and don'ts. Do you agree? Do you agree, Emily?
I do
Should we
agree.
go? Yeah.
I think maybe
Let's see.
nicely is a little bit ambiguous. You ought to dress
Yeah, I
nicely.
agree. I agree.
It's very subjective, but
Yeah. What are potential interview questions? Let's see. What are potential interview questions? What would you all say would be potential interview questions? Oh, yes. Resha says, yes, Emily, you understood perfectly.
good. I'm glad.
So can anyone think of any potential interview questions that you might be asked in a job interview?
There are some very stereotypical questions
Yeah.
that they always seem to ask.
Why? Yeah, why is always a big question.
Yeah.
Why do you want to work here? Right? Why?
Tell me about yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Very
Okay.
typical questions.
Typical questions indeed. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. You ought to dress nicely. Okay. Ought to. Emily, what is ought to?
Ought to, I would say, is something similar to should. So is it a piece of quite strong advice? It's recommended that you do this thing. Often we use ought to kind of in a moralistic way. So, for example, I ought to call my mom. I ought to apologize to my
Always.
friends. So I feel like if I don't do this, then maybe it gives a bad impression to other people.
Right.
So yeah, in
Yeah,
general, it's very similar to should.
Ought to call my mom. This is always a true statement.
Yeah,
I ought to call my mom this evening.
I ought to buy
Yes.
something for her birthday. I ought to send a present.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, lots of people should.
Let's see here. Yeah. Should. Okay, good. Ought to, should. Rosalba says, have you ever experienced this role? Interesting. Certainly that idea would be asked. Have you ever worked in this role, perhaps?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Have you ever experienced this role, but have you ever worked in this position?
I think maybe we
Excellent
would
question.
also use experience maybe as a noun. Have you had any experience?
Right.
this
Have you
role.
had any experience in this
Rather than as the
role
verb. Do you
before?
have any experience as a teacher, for example?
Absolutely. Do you have any experience?
So yeah.
Any previous, we might use the word previous experience as a teacher. Yeah. Okay. Again, Russia, why do you want this job?
I love your picture. It's very
That's
cool.
a great picture. Yeah, and we cannot say for the money. That would not be a good
Because I
answer.
need the money.
Yes. Why do you want this job? Okay, that's an excellent question. Why do you want this job? Let's see what Robbie is saying. Which are your skills? Which or what? What are your skills? Sure. Which are your skills? What are your skills? What are your skills, Emily?
My skills are communication, I hope.
Yes, we hope.
teaching, maybe knowledge of teaching grammar, of teaching methodology, hopefully good relationships with people. And you?
That's a great question. Certainly, communication would be a good skill. Problem solving, right?
Yes,
Managing
it's
to
important.
sort things out at the last minute. What else? Being friendly, I would say, is a skill. Being
Definitely.
positive, I would say. And especially in this moment, being positive is very important, right? For all of us, for our morale, right?
Yeah,
So,
being patient, being calm.
patient, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we see here, it's a good idea to keep up with recent events, okay, in the company. By doing this, you will come across as a knowledgeable, intelligent candidate. Okay, lovely. So let's see.
We have a very
the questions
interesting
here.
comment from Miyuki.
Let's see.
They've just had a business interview. Oh, okay. Hopefully it went well. And they asked me, what would you like to be in 5 years from now? Okay, yeah, this is a really good question for the future. Yeah, where do you see yourself?
Very difficult question. Yes, Miyuki, we hope your job interview went well.
Yeah.
So what would you like to be? Okay, so they asked you, what would you like to be? I'm curious how Miyuki responded. Miyuki, how did you respond?
Tell us your response.
Yeah, and we invite everyone else to think how you would answer that question. What would you like to be 5 years from now? I mean, one could say, I would like to be successful. I would like to be, what would you like to be 5 years from now, Emily?
I would like to have improved in many different ways and to be progressing, doing new things.
I would like to, sure. I would like to be an even better employee. There's these type of answers you can give that are somewhat kissing up, but
yes,
there are some classic answers, Miyuki, that sound really good. I would like to be working at this company and succeeding.
Yeah.
Or I would like to be creating profit for this company, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, not an easy question. Thank you for sharing, Miyuki. That's great. So let's look together at the question on the right side. Find a phrasal verb in the text, which means, so we invite you all to look in the text and find a phrasal verb meaning to arrive. Emily, can you describe what a phrasal verb is?
Yeah, a phrasal verb is a verb and a preposition together. But adding the preposition changes the meaning of the verb. So it's not really connected to the original meaning. It creates a new meaning with the verb. So these are very common in English. I think we have tens of thousands of them.
Yes. So for example, to wake up, to sit down, to look around, to go out, to jump up. Okay.
Yeah, it's always this combination verb and preposition.
Verb plus preposition. So looking in the text, everyone, do's and don'ts. Can you find a phrasal verb meaning to arrive? And again, do your best. Take a guess. To arrive. All right. 5. Go ahead.
Okay.
Rosalba says to go over, to arrive.
That is a phrasal verb, but it's, I think, a different meaning. So it is in there. It's a phrasal verb, but it's not meaning to arrive.
Meaning.
It's a different meaning.
But thank you, Rosalba. Let's see. Okay, we'll reveal it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. To arrive, to turn up. We see you had better not turn up to an interview, meaning to arrive. Okay, let's go to the next one, to review.
I think this is where Rosalba maybe is right.
Yes, okay, Rosalba. Yes, we'll put you there. To go over. Oh, so I revealed the next one too. So to review, to go over, to give a certain impression, to come across as. Okay, you can come across as a very nice person, come across as a very mean person. What about to be different? Any ideas? To be different. Emily, to be different?
To be different in a good way or in a bad way?
Good question. Let's take a look together what shows up. To stand out. Would you
Yeah,
say
so this
that's
is in
a
a good
good
way.
way?
Generally, if we're talking about a job interview, I would say it's something good. It means that people are impressed with you. You look better than the other
Sure.
candidates.
In fact, yeah, like we see, you stand out from the crowd, right? If you have a big hat on at a concert, you stand out from the crowd, for
Yeah.
example, very literally. Okay, and the last one, to be up to date. Anyone like to guess, or does anyone have any questions about these phrasal verbs? Okay, we'll look
Perfect. We're
together.
going to stand out.
Keep up with. Oh yeah, exactly. To stand out, the last one. So to keep with. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to ask us. Otherwise, we'll move forward. So those are phrasal verbs. Now,
I would just mention come across as. Because I think this is so common in English to come across as something. Even if for example, your tone of voice doesn't match your words, even if your words are kind or nice, you can come across as a bad person or in a bad way just because maybe your tone of voice is not appropriate, or maybe even you are too colloquial. So for example, if I'm in a job interview and they say, "How are you today?" I'm fine-ish. Maybe I come across as a little bit unprofessional,
right.
a little bit too casual. So yeah, I just wanted to point out that is a really common phrase.
Yeah. Or how you were mentioning the interview you went to a while back where you dressed very elegantly.
Yes.
Maybe you came across as a very serious,
too serious.
right? A very serious person or a very serious teacher, which being serious is good, but maybe at first people thought, who's this? She's very serious. And then got to know you and went, she's delightful, right?
Yes.
So just come across as to see. Good point.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay.
So we invite you all now. We have a list of phrasal verbs on the right and 5 sentences. So we want to fill these in. So Emily, can you read the first one?
Yes. A well-written CV will help you blank from the other candidates.
Yes. And we would like you to guess. Anyone. So a well-written CV will help you. Emily, do you have a well-written CV?
I have a CV. I will let other people decide if it's well written or not. The aim is that it's well written. Stand out, excellence. Got some
exactly.
really good responses. Stand out, good.
Yeah, a well-written CV. So the next one, you should never late to an interview. Number 2, you should never So we know it's a phrasal verb. You should never.
And we know late is not on time.
Yes, exactly. Like the rabbit in Alice in Wonderland. You should never turn up, go across, come across as, stand out, keep up with. Any ideas? You should never. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We have some correct answers.
Turn up. Okay,
Excellent.
good. Me
Well
too.
done.
Excellent. Oh, good. And Rosalba as well. You should never turn up late. Right. Okay, next one. Emily, can you read the next?
You ought to blank the information on your CV to make sure it is correct and up to date.
Yes.
Okay.
So you ought to. We said you should. You ought to. Okay.
So make sure it's up to date.
So you ought to.
Is your CV up to date, Monique?
No, I can affirm with you. confirm that my CV is not up to date.
No.
Should it be up to date? Maybe, but it is not up to date.
Yeah, it's very easy to leave it if you have a job that you don't really need it.
Exactly. But let's see here. Okay, we have Miyuki and Robbie saying, keep up with. Nice. You ought to keep up with the information. Oh, you ought to go over the information. Okay, keep up with, yes, means to stay up to date. But you ought to, could you say you ought to keep up with the information?
I think you keep up with like external information. So I keep up with the news. It's not something that I write.
You could say you ought to keep up with the changing information. For example, right now we are all keeping up with the news because the situation is changing. So we keep up with the changing information. However, in this example, you ought to not so much keep up with the information, because here we're talking about static information.
Yeah, and it's your information. So you know the information. Keep up with is maybe something external to yourself.
Right.
That you need to keep.
And we'll say hello to Joanna, who is with us, and also
hi,
to
Joanna.
Mayes Cagliari. Wow, very nice
welcome.
to have Sardinia on board. Beautiful island. Lovely. Okay, so let's go to the next one, everyone. So no problem. Miyuki, Ravi, thanks for the suggestion. Let's see to the next one. Emily, can you read number 4?
Yes. In order to be a good candidate, you must blank new developments in your industry. So bearing in mind what we said before. Yes.
Okay. We also invite Cagliari and Joanna to contribute if they'd like to. Okay, we're looking for the phrasal verb for number 4. In order to be a good candidate, you must. We have Maretta, Robbie. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Keep up with the new developments in your industry. Good. And the last one, Emily.
Perfect. Okay. Pay attention to your body language. Sit up straight, make eye contact, smile, and don't fidget. This will help you to blank, confident and focused. We have an interesting word here.
We do. Fidget.
Yes.
What is to fidget? Emily, are you fidgeting right now?
I am fidgeting a little bit. It's difficult not to fidget.
Fidgeting, for example, is this. I'm sure you all know this feeling when you're in a class and someone has their pen and goes like this the entire time. That is to fidget. It can be very annoying. Right?
Yeah, when you're constantly moving, like children, they sit on their hands, they move, they stretch. Yeah.
To fidget.
It's like when we're nervous, often we fidget, or with your hair, you can fidget too.
Exactly.
It's quite distracting.
We see Rosalba writes, come across as. This will help you come across as. Exactly.
Excellent.
So, excellent, Rosalba. Nicely done. Yeah, and body language is how you hold yourself, right? So if you walk to an interview, you're like, oh, dude, I don't know.
Hi.
That does not come across.
How are you doing?
Right, yeah. Hey, what's up? All right, lovely. Great job, everyone. Let's move on to some personal questions. All right. Emily, the first personal question.
Okay. What do you think makes people stand out in an interview?
Yeah. So we invite you also to share what you think makes people stand out. So remember to stand out, the idea of being noticed, right?
In a positive way.
In a positive way. Emily, what would you say makes people stand out?
I think going back to my example of going to the interview in a bright red dress, that made me stand out. Maybe not for the best reasons in that situation, but I think maybe knowing about your subject. So obviously, if you're going for a teaching interview, having lots to say about your subject, rather than necessarily just responding with 1 or 2 sentences, having some kind of philosophy of what you're talking about.
Right. And also Oh, stand smiling. Very nice,
Mm.
Cagliari. Thank you.
Really
What
important.
makes people stand out?
Yeah.
It might also be something unique about yourself. For example, your smile, or it could be, let's see, you have very short hair, or you have, I don't know, you wear big earrings. It makes you
Interesting
stand
fashion.
out. Or you have interesting ideas on life, or you have, could be a number of things. Anyone else? Ideas? What makes people stand out? Maybe you have a great personality, right?
Yeah,
Make
very
you stand
friendly, very lively.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, maybe it depends on the job that you're applying for.
Mm-hmm. Lovely. Let's go to the second question. Okay. Have you ever turned up late to an important event or to a job interview? We invite you to answer. Have you ever? Hello, Lucy.
Hi.
Nice to have you. Friendly as you are. Lovely.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lucy.
Yeah. Thank you, Lucy, and welcome. So, have you ever turned up late to an important event? Have you ever turned up late? They say sometimes, what is it if you turn up late for your wedding? I can't remember. It's like one of those
I
things.
think it's the bride's right to turn up late.
Did you turn up late for your wedding?
Almost. On my
Really?
wedding day, I came down the stairs and there was a group of people moving house. So at the bottom of the stairs, there was a washing machine blocking the exit. So in that
No.
moment, I was on time, but on that in that moment, I was very worried about turning up late to my wedding.
No. Yeah, I mean, I'm from Los Angeles where there's often traffic. So in terms of, well, meeting a friend is one thing, but like a job interview, for example, that's also why I would always be get there way in advance, because Los Angeles is a city with freeways, right, which would be highways that are free, and it's about 6 lanes going and 6 lanes coming. So you can find some incredible traffic. So
You have to
luckily
be
I've never
prepared.
turned up late, but there is that possibility. Yeah, Marasha says no, never. That's great.
Very good.
That is very
Perfect.
impressive. Okay, I
Very
want to know
punctual.
your tricks. Okay, third question, Emily.
Do you often go over possible questions before an interview?
Do you often go over possible questions? I think I don't.
Okay.
Do you, Emily?
I am the opposite. I tend to go over a lot of questions before the interview, maybe too much. But I like to be very prepared. But then often they don't ask the question that you prepared for, so
Right. But
it's
it
not
never
necessarily
hurts to
helpful.
prepare, right?
Yeah,
It's
to
better
get
to
your
be more
ideas
prepared.
together, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Is it better to come across as excited and eager or quiet and confident? So what is eager?
Interesting
Eager.
word. Very eager.
Yeah. Any ideas out there? What is eager?
We are eager to meet you. Or
Yeah,
we're
we are
eager
eager
to start teaching online.
we're eager to see your responses to what the meaning of eager
We're
is.
very eager.
Eager. So eager might be a new vocabulary. It's like excited. You're eager. So the question then, is it better to come across as excited and eager or quiet and confident? What do you think? Emily, what would you say?
Again, I think it depends on the job. If you're applying to like be a teacher with children, maybe you need to be quite excited. You need to be good at generating energy. If you're applying for a job as the CEO of a company, maybe you need to come across as more confident, and you don't necessarily need the energy.
Sure.
So yeah, I think it really depends on the job.
Absolutely. Okay. And the last one, Emily, can you read?
Why is it important to keep up with new developments in your industry?
Any thoughts, everyone? What are your industries that you work
Yeah.
in?
Tell us about your industries. What are
We
some
could
common industries?
I have a sensation that maybe in Cagliari they teach English, but it's just an
Okay,
idea.
teaching
Okay.
is an industry.
Teaching. Maybe we have some teachers. What are other industries? Maybe
Maybe some business
law.
people, law.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Some presidents of companies, or Miyuki says
Fashion.
fashion.
Wow, very
Fabulous.
interesting.
We love
industry.
fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lucy says to look forward. Okay. To look
Okay.
forward to.
Mhm.
Yeah, to be eager. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, to be
To
really
be
excited.
eager.
I can't wait for.
To look forward to. Yeah. Excellent. Very nice, Lucy. Okay. To be eager to look forward to. And then Lucy again. Being updated always makes you look good. I would agree.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we
Makes you
want
look.
to know.
Yeah, makes you look serious about your interest.
Sure. And with fashion, there certainly is a lot of things to keep up to date about, no?
Yeah, it's
Fashion's
one of
always
those
changing.
industries that's always changing.
Yeah, that's fun. Very cool. Okay, so let's move forward together and talk about prior planning and preparation. And we invite you all now to share which modal verbs you know and which modal verbs do you know. So share with us some modal verbs and some semi-modal verbs. We want to hear from you.
We
Okay?
know them. But
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
see.
We
Let's
use
see if you
them.
know them.
Yeah. I'd love to hear some Mozart now. So modal verbs,
Some music in the
semi-modal
background.
verbs, yeah. Okay.
That's
Modal
interesting,
verbs.
Monique, that you say semi.
I do.
So
What do you say?
in Britain, we would say semi-modal.
Semi-modal. Yeah, I say
So
semi-modal.
yeah, there's some difference with the pronunciation in
Yeah.
America and the UK.
And there's also modal music, right? I mean, for example, Miles Davis, John Coltrane started doing modal music at one point. It was
Yeah.
really revolutionary, going away from the standard harmony, right?
Yeah,
Going
it's
into
very
modal music.
unexpected.
Like a Love Supreme. Maybe you know, I don't know if you're familiar with John Coltrane, but when A Love Supreme came out, that's a modal song, really
Yeah.
changed a lot
Something-
of the approach to jazz, especially. But okay, Miyuki says should, would, may. Great.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so we have 3 modal verbs. Should, would, may. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Miyuki. Okay. So what about semi-modal verbs? What changes, Emily, between modal and semi-modal?
So semi or semi-modal, as I would say.
Semi,
They are verbs that are made up with more than one word. So similar to the phrasal verbs, usually they contain other prepositions. So it's a composition of different words which have the same meaning as a modal verb. So
exactly.
they modify the verb in some way.
Right. So Miyuki, let's take a look together right now and see. We'll look and see what is in here in terms of modal or semi-modal. So the first one is how you should for an interview. So as you had mentioned, should, it's modal. What about the next one, Emily?
Something you had better not say in an interview. So here we
Something
have
you
had better not. So this is a semi-modal because it's composed of more words. It's not just one word. We have had, better, and in the negative, not.
Exactly. So that now is a semi-modal because see, it has 3 words in it. Something you had better not say in an interview. The
What
next
does it
one.
mean, Monique?
Oh, what does it
If I
mean?
say,
Good question.
you had better not use ish in an interview.
Exactly. Something you had better not say. You had better not say that I am a bad employee in an interview.
Yes.
You had better not say that I like to go on vacation more than I like to work in an interview.
Yeah.
What else what else had you better not say in an interview?
You had better not speak badly about your previous company. That's a big thing. You had better not say bad things about your previous company, your previous boss, colleagues.
You had better not lie in
Yeah,
an
it's a
interview,
bad idea.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's see here. The next one. Something you don't have to bring in an interview. Something you don't have to bring. So is that modal or semi-modal? Something you don't have to bring. What would you all say out there? Is that modal or semi-modal? Something you don't have to bring. Something you don't have to bring. That modal or semi-modal? Oh, Lucy says your CV. Something you don't have to bring. Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not necessary. You don't need to, usually.
So you don't have to bring your CV. Yeah, exactly, Miyuki. It is semi-modal. Great. So you don't have to bring your CV to an interview if it's not required.
Yeah.
Great.
You
Yeah.
don't need to, not necessary.
Mhm.
Um,
Don't have to bring. Good. Okay, the next one, Emily.
Something you ought to do in an interview.
Right. So is ought to modal or semi-modal? What would you all say?
So remember, the verb is ought to. Okay, not just ought. Ought to.
Ought to.
Can you
Okay,
remind
let's-
us what it means, Monique? If I say you ought
Yeah.
to dress appropriately.
Right, exactly. Something that it would be a good idea to do in an interview would be something you ought to do. Something you ought to do in an interview. So we see Miyuki is suggesting it's a modal. What would you say, Emily, about that?
Be
Something you
careful.
ought to do.
Here, the to is connected to the ought, not to the do. Okay, so the
Right.
verb is ought to. So this means it's composed of two parts.
Exactly. So it's a semi-modal exactly because of that, because it's ought to. You ought to go. Whereas if we take a standard modal such as should, the form for a modal would be to use should and then the verb in the bare infinitive
to.
without to, right? So you
Yeah.
should go. No? So
You
this
mustn't
one
do.
ought to. Mustn't do. Okay. Yeah, the next one, you mustn't do. Something you mustn't do. So would this one be modal or semi-modal? Something you mustn't do in an interview. What do you think? Something you mustn't do. Something you mustn't do. Modal or semi-modal in an interview? Any ideas out there? Something you mustn't do.
Modal,
Okay.
perfect. Yes, Marina, I think is
Good.
correct. It's a modal verb. Yeah.
Yeah, so you
must.
must do, mustn't do, exactly, modal. Okay, lovely. Can you think of something you mustn't do in an interview? Emily, can you think of
And I
something
think
you
of something you
mustn't?
mustn't do. I think probably you mustn't bring your pets or your family. You mustn't
Okay, yes. You
bring your
mustn't bring your
friends.
mom. Okay, very good.
It's not a good impression.
Not a
I'm
good
just noticing the time, guys. I think we have 2 more minutes, so we'll
Yeah, we have 2 more
have
minutes.
to
So
go
if
through.
you have any questions or comments, feel free to write them. I think we can get this last one done. Something you should do before an interview. So should is modal or semi-modal? Something you should do.
You mustn't cry.
You mustn't cry.
Yeah, very good points.
Yes.
Yes.
And let's say that's also true for the current situation. We mustn't cry
Yes.
at home.
Let's keep
Right.
positive.
Okay, Clelia, hello, welcome. Yes, you should is modal. Exactly.
Excellent.
Great. Okay, something you
Perfect.
should do before an interview. And the final one, something you have got to bring to an interview. Something you have got to bring to an interview. So is this modal or semi-modal? Something you have got to bring to an interview.
Yeah, so this time we
The
have
last thing here.
have got to. So 3 words. Have got to.
Something you have got to. What do you think? Something you have got to. Semi. Excellent. Fantastic. So, Emily, something
Mm.
you've got to bring to an interview?
Yourself, I think.
Yourself. Okay, good.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, this comment, you mustn't stand in a sprawling pose. Excellent. Okay, very nice, very
Yes.
jovial. So jovial and lovely. Thank you all. We're up for time. It's been delightful. Keep prepared, and we wish you a very, very nice rest of your day. Keep positive, and we look forward to seeing you in the next webinar. Thank you, Emily.
Yes, we'll
and
see
thank
you again
everyone.
soon. Bye,
See
guys.
you again soon.
And be
Bye-bye.
prepared.
Cheers. Be prepared, exactly. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.